Yo, what is up guys, Ghost here, welcome back to the channel, and today we've got some new news coming out of Tom Henderson over at Insider Gaming about Battlefield 2025, or the next Battlefield game. And according to him, DICE and EA are playtesting this game more than ever before with any Battlefield game to basically make sure that it's going to be a solid title and in order to avoid another disastrous launch, which I for one think is a solid idea. Now, as usual, everything that Tom Henderson and Insider Gaming report on is generally being leaked to him via, well, an insider, hence Insider Gaming, but in my experience, he has been right on the money over 90% of the time, so I feel pretty confident in saying that we can trust him. So let's go ahead and take a look at this article here in a second, but before we do, as always guys, if you do enjoy the content here on the channel, make sure you do hit that subscription button. Plenty more to come on Battlefield here in the future. I'm also going to be delving into Delta Force come December, and I'm also streaming on the regular over on Twitch more than anywhere really, so if you guys want to catch every single stream, I definitely recommend following me there. Link is down in the description, but otherwise I'll also be live here on YouTube as well, and however you guys choose to support me, just know it is ever so much appreciated, so thank you for that. Alright, let's just hop straight into this article here. So this is how it opens. He says, officially, EA has said all of the usual buzzwords you'd come to expect in its financial calls to promote the next game, from innovation to groundbreaking, and that is certainly true. We hear all kinds of buzzwords coming out of Andrew Wilson, the CEO of EA, and he's mostly been saying these things to his investors, which I guess makes sense. An interview with IGN earlier this year with head honcho Vince Zampella confirmed Insider Gaming's past reports that the franchise was taking a back-to-its-roots approach, with 64 players, all-out destruction, and a modern setting. And if you recall, Insider Gaming and Tom Henderson, they actually reported it on all of these features being part of the next Battlefield game way before that article came out, so he was certainly correct there. So he continues here saying, it all looks promising on paper, yet the scars of the past still burn today with its community, and fans of the franchise are still apprehensive about the future. Considering the franchise's last two blunders, that being 2042 and Battlefield 5, it's understandable, but this time EA and DICE seem to be all in on ensuring it doesn't happen a third time. And I think what he says there is absolutely true. Much of the Battlefield community are still hurting. They're still licking their wounds from the past two titles. They feel like they've been wronged, they feel like they've been lied to, and DICE not only need to, well, and EA and all of the other people working on the next Battlefield title, they not only need to make an absolutely fantastic Battlefield game, but even more so. Like, they need to blow it out of the water, because the expectations, not only are they high, but they have to win over the Battlefield community at large again. And let me know down in the comments if you're one of those people. So he continues here saying, on a funding front, the next Battlefield has the most resources in the franchise's history. 4 studios are currently working on Battlefield: DICE, Motive, Criterion Games, and Ripple Effect. More importantly, EA and its studios seem more interested in gaining player feedback this time around. Of course, it's not uncommon for games to have playtests during development. Almost every game has them at one point or another, but this time around, things are a lot different. Sources say that playtests with external players, that means people not within any of the studios, are happening much more frequently than in past installments, and the amount of data and feedback collected is the most the franchise has seen in its history. From small feedback sessions to large-scale player tests, Battlefield is now taking the much-needed player-first approach. It's an approach that we'll see continue to be played out coming to the start of the year 2, as it's understood that EA and its studios have been eyeing up the return of the Battlefield community test environment, but to what scale that's incorporated at this time is unclear. So we already knew based on the IGN article that they had begun playtesting of the game. What we didn't know in this article here is that they're putting out more tests than ever before, and they're also doing external tests. So I don't know who these people are. Maybe they're people who live over in Sweden and they've been like invited physically into the studio to sit down and playtest the game there, and they've signed an NDA, and that's why we haven't seen anything leak from there. But they've actually been trying it out and testing it with real players who are, you know, people outside of the studio and are therefore going to be unbiased in their approach to testing the game. And as far as I understand it, they're also going to be doing further testing. There's going to be a lot of online tests as well, and hopefully me and you, we can all be included in those, because I think that's certainly something that was lacking for Battlefield 2042. The first time we ever got our hands on the beta, I think anybody, no matter how much experience you have of testing games or playing games, could have sat down and objectively said, this game is terrible in its current iteration. However, I think EA and DICE knew how terrible it was. They evidently didn't care, and so they probably just didn't even want to bother playtesting it because they knew that is the feedback that they would receive. Either that, or they really just must have been living in an echo chamber and had their hands closed flatly over their ears and just shut their eyes. I don't know how you can play that game, look at that game, listen to that game, at least on release, and think that it was any good at all. So hearing now that they are making the game in tandem with the community is a big relief for me. Because what that means at the very least is that even if it does turn out to be a terrible game, at least they're going to hear it from us, right? At least we're going to get a chance to speak up and say, hey, this is not good enough, this needs changing, that needs changing, the other needs changing, and they have the opportunity to act on that feedback, delay the game, whatever they need to do to get it right. If they don't do that, then that is 100% on EA, DICE, Criterion, and all of the studios working on the game, as is indeed always the case. The prospect of the community test environment coming back is also something that really excites me. So that's the CTE. Some of you may have heard of that. It depends really when you came into Battlefield. I believe it all began with Battlefield 4. And these were a bunch of test servers where before they put out a patch for Battlefield 4, they would release a test patch and put it on the community test environment. And normal players like me and you, we could just hop in there if we wanted to. If you didn't want to test, you didn't have to. But if you wanted to, you could hop in there, try out the changes before they were put onto the live servers, and then give nice feedback on them. And that really helped out a lot in making Battlefield 4 into the game that it is today. And most people will agree that it is one of, if not the best Battlefield game ever made. We even got to make a map with DICE, so they had 3 different ideas. We, the community, got to choose which one we wanted the most, and that actually ended up in, I think it's called Operation Outbreak. Pretty decent map, actually, for Battlefield 4. It's the jungle theme map. I can't really quite recall what the other 2 ideas are. I probably got a video on my channel actually covering all 3 of the ideas, so if I would go back and find it, I could probably find what they were. But it ended up being a jungle map anyway, and it was just really nice to be included and to be asked, like, what do you want to see in the game? So they wrap up the article here saying, all in all, Battlefield seems to be trying to mend the mistakes it's made, and with a return to a modern military shooter with destruction, 4 classes and 64-player battles, EA could have a win on its hands. That being said, we're still a year-ish from release, and things can change, but so far at least, Battlefield could be back. Well, let's certainly hope so. I am crossing my fingers for it, just like you guys. Let me know in the comments down below, guys. What are you thinking about the game? Are you excited to play test it? Are you still apprehensive about the next Battlefield game? You're maybe not getting your hopes up or getting too hyped. Let me know what you're thinking down below. Thank you, as always, for watching the video. I really appreciate you guys checking out the channel. Have a good one, and I'll see you guys in the next video.